Hello, my name is Yong Takahashi. I'm a published author and songwriter and freelance editor. My object today is my book, Sometimes We Fall.
Can you describe your object?
Yes, Sometimes We Fall is a short story collection I wrote during the pandemic. It comprises of short stories that I've been collecting over the years, and some of them have been published in literary journals.
What do you do?
I write fiction, poetry, and songs. I also am a freelance editor, and I'm also a co-managing editor of The Fictional Cafe. The Fictional Cafe is an e-zine of essays, poetry, fiction, and art. And we're celebrating our 13th year.
What does a typical workday look like for you?
I go to Starbucks and I have to wake up, so I get my caffeine and I write my to-do list. That takes about an hour or so. I check my emails and then I start writing. So either I start writing new pages or I edit pages from the previous day.
How does your object aid in the day-to-day task in your industry?
It's more of an inspiration. So when I'm stuck writing a story or working on a project, I'll go back and read some of my older stories, and it gives me a little lift to move on and to keep going.
Can you give some insight into what the writing/publishing process looks like?
There are many ways to be published. Of course, you can self-publish, or you can go through an agent, or you can submit straight to a publisher. For my first short story collection, I tried to find an agent and several were interested, but I didn't feel that they really got my project or my idea. So I submitted it to a contest, and although I didn't win, the publisher asked if he could publish my book. It usually takes between 18 to 24 months because of the editing process. Also, there's a queue of other authors that they have in the pipeline. So it could take even longer than that sometimes, because if you go to a larger publishing house, they have hundreds of books that are in the queue.
How does it feel to say that you're a published author?
I still call myself a writer, so it's hard for me to say author, but I suppose I am. It took me a while to be published. I started taking it seriously when I turned 39, and I published my first short story collection a little before I turned 50. And I told the publisher that it was my bucket list item to be published before 50, so he said, I'll publish it a little before your birthday.
Why do you have the hesitancy to give yourself the title of published author?
I just like the word writer because with writer you could be writing anything, songs, poetry, fiction. So when you say author, I think most people think of it as novels, and I don't see myself in that way.
Can you share a memory attached to your object?
I've written several short stories that I've either observed or lived through, and I've fictionalized them. A couple of the stories are dealing with gambling, and I lived in a casino for about a month with some of my friends. So it brings me back to a time where it was fun, but it was also tiring because we stayed there for 30 days. We went to private homes where people were gambling $50,000, $100,000 a hand. So it just brings me back, and I laugh at, certain things that happened, but I had to fictionalize it. So.
What advice can you give young women hoping to enter the creative writing industry?
Just write. Don't let anyone tell you what to write, how to feel, whether to write in first person, third person, past tense, present tense. There really aren't any rules now. Back when I started writing, they were saying don't write in first person, and now all these YA young writers are doing it and getting on the bestsellers list. So just follow your heart and do what's in your gut.
What do you hope people take away from your stories?
I write a lot about everyday life, and I put a little bit of more drama than usual, but I think people can relate to the characters, and they're not, superheroes or fashion models or they're just normal people, and I think that people can see themselves in the characters.
How can our audience learn more about you and purchase one of your books?
I'm on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at Yongversation, YONGVERSATION. You can find the link in my bio of all my books and the journals that I've designed.